Hello, Herkimer County. This is Michele Hummel with the Herkimer County Chamber of Commerce. I'm here with our producer, Dave Warner.
Hey, how you doing?
Very well. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Weather's beautiful. And
It's gorgeous today.
I know. Awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Well, we also have our very special guest, Jim Bono, or Vincent Jim Bono. He is the chairman of the legislature of Herkimer County, and we really look forward to diving into that. But first, we've decided that every beginning of our segment, we're going to talk about one of the chamber members, and I'm learning a little bit every week. So the first week I learned I do have a nervous laugh. I don't know. I listened back and I thought, why am I laughing right there? I have no clue. So I learned that. The second time I brought in White Rose Bakery and I handed it to Dave to try, but I didn't show it on the camera. So I don't know if everybody
there you go.
See
That's
that
good.
well.
See that?
But
Ooh,
that is
that
a
looks
gorgeous,
awesome.
gorgeous burger. And it includes.
But you haven't said who it's from.
It's from Crazy Otto's Empire Diner.
The presentation is perfect.
It's beautiful. And I want to point out that these containers are to-go containers. And sometimes you'll order out from a restaurant and they'll be a little bit on the soggy side.
Right.
These burgers are not soggy at all.
Well, they look different too. They're different material, right?
Yeah. And so, Jim, there's one for you as
thank
well.
you very much.
All right.
Again,
I believe they were voted #1 burger.
They
in the
sure were
state.
in New York State.
Yeah.
So again, I'm going to show you this one. Just my typical, very good burger there.
Yeah.
Love it. And I'm going to put these guys on a spot and see if you want to take a bite. I'm not going to, but you have to. I'll do mine afterwards.
We're going to see lettuce in your teeth or what?
Yeah, right. Because that will happen to me. I guarantee you. So if you want to take a bite of that and tell me how good it is, I love an Otto's burger.
Jim is looking at me like, are you going to do this? And
I'll let you go first, Dave.
Okay.
thanks.
Okay.
Jeez,
so let's put Dave on the spot here. I want to see a taste because I've never had a bad meal from Crazy Otto's ever.
You don't go away hungry there.
No, you don't. The portions are large. And they do so much for our community.
Absolutely.
They were voted
Great
Business
people.
of the Year by the Chamber of Commerce a couple of years ago. They've been a wonderful partner. They give back to the community
Scott and
every
Kim
chance.
and their family.
Where are those napkins?
Oh,
great job.
All right.
No.
That's why I guess I gave it to you
I guess
first.
that's
So
why
I
you gave it to me.
apologize.
Right. All right.
So anyway, if anybody has time, stop over to Crazy Otto's. They've got a great meal, and I really support Kim and Scott Tranter. They support the region so much. So thank you so much. That said, Jim, welcome.
Thank you.
I always like to jump right in.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. So what I want to talk about, and this is I always say I want to keep everything positive in this podcast. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention the school shooting yesterday in Texas. Awful, awful, awful. And I woke up this morning actually wondering, knowing that we had this podcast coming today to record, what jurisdiction, if any, or even just input do you have over our local school districts?
Well, I mean, they're separate and independent. We do deal with them periodically, whether it be lately with COVID. We were constantly on the phone with them with COVID, and but they're pretty much on their own as far as what their policies are in their districts. Some vary, but a lot of it's dictated by the state.
Right.
So their hands are tied. Do they want to be more stringent on certain things or lax? It all depends on what the state wants. A lot of the time, 75% of their budgets are pretty much dictated by the state. So.
Right. Are there any type of grants available that you're aware of? Again, this might not be a question for you, but if I'm thinking it, I'm sure some of our listeners are thinking it. Are there any grants to help with the cost of metal detectors? Anything like
I'm
that?
sure there are. And if there aren't, after these last few weeks, I think you're going to see something, come out of the state level.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I did want to bring that up. Just
it's
because
a terrible. I mean, what do we become? And every day is a different story, and it's relax, people.
Well, I've been to Uvalde. I lived in San
Yeah.
Antonio for a while, outside of San Antonio, Universal City, and Uvalde. I mean, it's this cute little town where you would never imagine anything like this. And my daughter lives in San Antonio, which is it's about 80 miles to Uvalde, and she's like, "What in the hell has happened to us?"
Well, you say it can't happen in your hometown, but it did in Herkimer in 2013, back in May of 2013. Lost 4 community members.
We
and
sure did. That was awful.
That terrible.
Yeah.
So it definitely puts you on the edge. But it's a lot of mental health issues.
Yeah.
We've seen that with
Mhm.
COVID, with the last 2 years, kids are gone a different path. And I could talk about that a little bit.
Oh,
We're
sure.
proposing a child center, which would be a daycare center. They're desperate need of daycare in the
I
communities.
agree.
We're hearing it from all the employers around. Matter of fact, there was a job fair not too long ago at the college, and I had an hour to kill. So I went up there and I talked. There were 40 employers up there. I was able to talk to about 18 of them, and I asked them what their importance was daycare to their employees. And, scale of 1 to 5, and they all said 5. Some of them said 10 and 20.
Wow.
So it's very important, especially infant daycare. But what we want to do is the county is looking to provide a child center where we would actually be a landlord of sorts, and we would have all these agencies come in, daycare center, mental health. BOCES would have a classroom there. We'd have a mental health center there for kids to help kids out. Actually, a clinic, a developmental play group. I've got some notes here because I don't want to.
Don't want to miss
miss
it.
it.
Yeah.
A preschool therapy room.
That's great.
A systems of care office, and just child care space. Again, the infant daycare is needed, and if you know anything about infants, there's more need or more care involved. So
Right.
when the state steps in and says, "Listen, you need one instructor for 6 infants versus one instructor for 10 or 12 toddlers," and then there's school age kids, which is less, 1 on 15 or 18, whatever the formula is, desperately needed. And
Well, they've identified some childcare deserts. I don't know countywide what it is,
There
but I
is,
know Little
and-
Falls is what's called a childcare desert,
Right.
which is in other
Little
words,
Falls and Ilion,
Yeah, we
are
can-
another
we-
one, and that's where we're looking to locate this one. I know there's 2 or 3 daycare providers in Little Falls, so we want to maybe address the Ilion one. And that's not to say that people from Ilion are the only ones that, or Little Falls. It could be anywhere in the county.
Mhm.
So we've identified 3 sites that we want to look at. Matter of fact, I'm going to set up. I just got off the meeting with a couple of the chair people of the committees, and we're going to set up a meeting with all those parties involved and tour those facilities. Now, whether we build new, use an existing structure, or a vacant lot and build new, that remains to be seen. So that's all for discussion. But that'll be happening relatively quick. We do have some funding already in the works that's been in place that we've got grants for. One of them is from Senator Schumer's office, is about $315,000. The Community Foundations locally, which was gracious enough to give us $250,000. ESD grant, which is Economic State Development grant of about $120,000, and ARPA funding, which was given to the communities because of the COVID crisis to spend based on what they thought was vital in the community. So we put $500,000 of that money towards that.
Good Lord.
So
So you're starting about 1.1 million
That's
right off the
1.1
bat.
million, and then
Yeah.
there's another grant to be announced for the Office of Child and Family Services. We expect maybe $200,000-300,000 there. So we'd be to build a new facility. We've got an estimate of about $2 million. So the county would put that up, but we would get that back in
Sure.
rents.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
on the back end of it. So the county's willing to become a landlord, and it's crucial that this happens, and it's
Absolutely.
vital in every community. Personally, I think the schools should be doing this, maybe, because everybody, every township has a school pretty
Yeah.
much, and it just makes sense that they're set up for it. They have the classrooms, they have the playgrounds,
They
because there are
do.
certain requirements that you need to provide childcare.
But what happened in that when COVID hit, because Benton Hall is a child care facility here managed by the Youth and Family Center. But when they were shut down for COVID, all the child care went away.
Yeah.
And they were scrambling for where do we put them? You have to have an improved facility. And
Yeah.
so
Right.
it was a mess.
And it's tough to count on the private folks that do this
Yeah.
because, they want to close at 4:30 perhaps, or, they're only allowed so many. There's
Right.
always a waiting list. It makes it very
And they're
difficult.
limited in staff and
Mm.
size, like you said. you go over certain numbers, and then you're required to have so much staff, so many square feet, safety precautions, and the whole nine.
So it's almost better that you're kind of starting from scratch with
Yeah.
a brand new facility that will be compliant. And
And we
I-
wouldn't take away. I mean, there's waiting lists. No matter who we talk to, there's waiting lists. So we're not to say taking away business from another existing.
There's enough to go around.
Yeah.
It's
I think here it was, they can handle it in the Little Falls area 75, but the need is 700 and something
Yeah.
children. So like you say, there's
Mhm.
plenty of business there.
I know some of the legislators were apprehensive about doing it because just for that reason that they were going to take business away. And then, we talked to
Once you
the experts.
crunch
and
the
they're like,
numbers.
no, there's no worry there.
Mhm.
Because there's
There's
plenty.
always babies being born every day.
Absolutely.
So we encourage everyone to work, and they need to at this day and age.
I
So,
thought
so-
you were going to say encourage everybody to make more babies.
Oh, well, that's your choice.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Didn't know where you were going
Yeah,
with that.
I don't know where I'm going with most things. So thank goodness for editing.
Yeah,
I guess.
no editing on this.
No, but thank you for sharing that. I think that's
Absolutely.
very important for our county residents to know that it's been recognized as a need, as a gap, and you're doing something to fill it. Do you have a timeline, perhaps? I know
yesterday.
maybe. Oh, yesterday.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be meeting, like I said, next week and touring those facilities, and
Mm-hmm.
then from there, I think we're going to move swiftly on it because some of this funding is earmarked for a certain amount of time. After that, it's gone. So
Yeah,
we want to take advantage of that,
Mhm.
and don't want to lose that opportunity.
Well, thank you for sharing that
Absolutely.
very much. Along those lines, what's your take on possibly consolidating services?
Oh, boy.
I know. I'm probably
You don't want
opening a
my
can of
opinion on
worms.
this.
I feel I'm a resident. Okay. So I don't mind sharing with everybody. I live in Ilion, and we've got German Flats up in South Ilion. And if they have a fire, Mohawk has to come. So I just don't, I guess to me,
Yeah.
it would make more sense to combine
Well,
everything.
I'm glad you brought it up
Mhm.
because maybe people don't want to hear this, but it's a reality. There's 61,000 people in Herkimer County, and Jim Wallace, our county administrator, says this all the time. So I'm stealing it from him, but we have 30 municipalities in this county with 61,000 people, plus the county itself is 31 municipalities and governments. That you do the math there, and it's basically 2,000 people per government. There's city blocks in New York City that have 61,000 people
Jeez.
and with less government. So it's time to reduce that amount of government. Whether you want to hear this or not, that's the reality. We have 2 municipalities in the state, in the county, that are the highest taxes in the state. The village of Herkimer and the village of Ilion have the dubious distinction of having the highest combined tax rate in the state out of 530 or 33 villages, plus or minus, whatever it is.
I feel that pain.
That's about, and you look it up, it's on the state tax and finance website. So they're paying 57 plus or minus dollars a thousand. I believe that's what it was. That's crazy.
Mhm.
So when they come to the county, businesses come to the county and say, or the IDA and say, why aren't you bringing businesses into my community? Listen, I don't have to. Those companies look at what the tax rates are and they say, well, geez, we can move down the road a half a mile.
Mhm.
It's happened numerous times. They go to another municipality and pay half the taxes. So you have to control that now. And you're at a point where you need to say, do we need the villages? Village of Herkimer, Village of Frankfurt, Village of Ilion,
Mhm.
Mohawk. Do we need those governments right now? Because, like you said, you live in the Ilion, but you
Mhm.
live in the town of German Flats.
Right.
You can't continue this. And listen, you could still live in the village. You just won't have a village government. Town of Webb is like that. Old Forge is a
Mhm.
hamlet. I think they dissolved years ago. So it's time to have those talks. We certainly have talked about consolidation. I know when I was chairman last time, I tried to bring the police together, and we had, we packed the room with 130 municipalities, and there was a plan that I had just scribbled down and said, listen, we could take this plan, throw it out the window, start new, or add or subtract from it. But it pretty much involved getting 7 municipalities from the thruway corridor, the ones who had police, for instance, we went with. Frankfurt Village, Frankfurt Town, Ilion, Mohawk, Little Falls, Dolgeville, I think, and maybe there was one other, whatever. I think it was 7. Was that 7? Anyway, so we had a meeting with all the municipalities, the elected officials, and the police departments. We said, hey, listen, let's talk about this. Because I pulled the rolls, and there were like 130 police officers involved. Now, most of these municipalities have small, I know, village. Frankfurt has like 5 or 7 at the time, I think, police officers. Well, there's no room for, if you're stuck in a department like that, there's no room for potential promotion, or so you're, you know, or the full-time officer who worked in Frankfurt would work part-time at Herkimer PD and on the weekends, and it was all the same names in that one group. So I proposed, let's do a Mohawk Valley Police Department, and it wouldn't be done overnight. You know, it would be done over a course of 3, 5, even 10 years. Pick a day in the future and say by 2030, we will be the Mohawk Valley Police Force. So long as and there was a way of doing it where the service would be provided, you know, who cares what the name on the police car says? It's so long as somebody shows up that's duly sworn and, you know, and can administer the law. I have the state police in my district. They do a great job. You know, I see them 3 times a day go by. That's all I want. I just want visibility and do the job. The main concern was I'm going to lose my job. You know, the administration, the police chiefs, the lieutenants, everybody, the whole rank. Well, geez, I'm a lieutenant now. Will I be demoted? No. The plan was to stay where you are. You would have your police chief. That chief would be a deputy chief, but still have the same pay scale. And then when they retired or moved on, you would replace them with a subordinate or a lesser position.
So you grandfather everything.
You would grandfather everything in.
Yeah,
But,
no, that works.
and it started well. And then after the 4th or 5th meeting, everybody waned and waned. You know, the interest waned, and it didn't grab because the fear that they were going to lose their identity. They wanted to get the service. And I said, listen, everybody would, on those 7 communities, everybody would have a commissioner. Each village board would appoint a commissioner to serve on this police commission, and they would run the budget. And each community would, based on parcels or based on population, would, you know, put in so much towards their contract. And, you know, I thought it was a great idea. And we pulled some great ideas from people, and we all shared ideas, but it just would not grab roots. And we tried this with fire years ago. We tried this with highway. You know, we have the biggest highway system, 3rd biggest highway system in the state, 575 plus or minus miles of roads, bridges, ditches, culverts. And we do that with about 70 employees. But we need help. You know, you fall
amongst
behind.
all the municipalities in 70?
We have 570 miles.
Right. But how many?
Well, we only have the county employees. We have 70 during year round. And then we usually picked up 40 or 50 seasonal workers in the summer where we could do that work. And most of those people would go to the winter. In the winter, they would go work for the municipalities, plowing snow. That would be plowing county roads. So, again, it was the same pool of people, but they're just all over the place.
Just the name on the paycheck changes.
That's all. And so we're at that point where you really need to, getting back to what I was saying earlier, you really need to look at the villages and should there be a village government? There'll still be a village. You can say you live in the village. You wouldn't lose your identity, but you would just have a town employee, a town assessor, a town codes person, a town clerk, instead of having that government and having a whole board that you trustees, you would have
I
council
think
people.
Hopefully that will happen at some point.
Michelle, it's going to happen by necessity rather than choice.
Right.
Because when you're at your taxable limits, and some of those municipalities we're talking about are close to their constitutional tax limit, it's going to happen. So
might as well do it by choice rather than
and you know, I know it's not
necessity.
a glamorous item that anybody wants to tackle, but it's the reality. And you know, the swimming pools and the parks are great. Those are great things that we need in our community and the feel good and the quality of life things that we need, but you need to take care of the finances. And, you know, I'm telling more and more people in public about, you know, it's been a quiet issue, but it can't be quiet anymore. 61,000 people,
Well,
30 municipalities. That's crazy.
I can guarantee you, if I'm thinking this question, there have to be others like me out there. So
I get it all day, every
Yeah.
day. And most people agree. But when it comes time to vote that way, they're scared to bring it up. And I know some village elections coming up, but it needs to be brought up by the business people. I mean,
Wait,
your family's
Yeah.
in the business. Dave. I mean, we know a lot of business people, and they need to be more vocal. Say, listen, we cannot afford it. Because you have to run it like a business, or your family checkbook, the household checkbook.
Yeah.
You have to run it that way. Bottom line.
yeah, exactly.
But it's like term limits. You know, 70-something% of the population supports term limits, but are we going to
Dave,
see it?
I'm going to be brutally honest with people and tell you, in order to get things back in order, you have to sacrifice. And that's what a lot of people don't do nowadays. They don't sacrifice. They've replaced the word sacrifice with satisfied. And you can't do that. You have to sacrifice. So if I'm going to tell you, vote for me, because this is it's a brutal truth. I have to take something away from you in order to make something good for you. Are you going to vote for me? They'll tell you no.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So it's going to
so
be a
you're fighting.
conversation that we're going to continue to have down the road. So if we can help anyway, who knows? But
Yeah.
Well, just talking about it.
Yeah,
We're talking about it. And
let's bring it up. and-
hopefully other people start
Yeah.
talking about it, because
Mhm.
I've always asked that question about, you know, you have the city of Little Falls and you have the town of Little Falls. All right. We're locked, you know, 2,445 acres here in the city of Little Falls. Even if somebody was interested here, we only have so much land. So where are we going to go?
right.
Right.
Well, in Herkimer gets even more confusing because you've got a county building right in the center. So you've got, well, who do I call for what? Who do I call? Should I call the village? So for example, I'm looking for garbage bags because I'm part of Rotary and we're going to be doing a highway cleanup. Do I call the county? Do I call the village? Do I call the town? Who knows? So those questions, I think, are more common
Right.
than anyone realizes.
But
So-
you know, if anybody listening here, just be more vocal and ask those questions. Why am I paying so much? And I could get that same service with one less tax.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Yes.
So how about county employees? How do we sort of, I don't want to use the term stack up, but how do we stack up against, other counties? So, are we overstaffed? Are we understaffed? Does our pay equal?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big issue with not just Herkimer County, but all counties, all businesses. You can't find workers right now. It used to be where government jobs were sought after. Now we don't offer the benefits like they used to before. I mean, certainly, I know in Oneida County and Herkimer County, and we can't find corrections officers, caseworkers, and it's not just the pay. It's just that it seems nobody wants. Again, going back to that job fair I went to, 40 employees there, employers, all good name employers. Mom and pops, all the way up to the Tractor Supplies and Rem Arms and all the big people. And if I was, I was there an hour, and if I saw a half a dozen people there coming in for
wow.
jobs, it was, and I said, I talked to Karen Pisak, who's our workforce development our working solutions director, and she had job fairs before that at the college. She had 43 or 63 people show up at both job fairs at the college, the two before that, and it was. I said, Karen, that's bad. That's not look. She goes, are you kidding me? She goes, these employers haven't seen 63 people walk through the doors in 2 years because
Wow.
of COVID. So, and that's using COVID, but even before that, you weren't seeing the people walk through the door. And I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
And, those benefits have run out from COVID.
So what are they doing? That's my question.
Yeah, I know. Where are they? And what are they doing?
Again, I'm a product of immigrants, so I've seen my grandparents, my parents, and everyone else, that generation. and even my generation, I think you've seen sacrifice. They've sacrificed, and we're willing to sacrifice. People now have replaced that word sacrifice with satisfied. I'm satisfied getting what I'm getting, and it seems there's no ambition to. Maybe some of the younger kids have the ambition, but you just don't see that, and they want to make themselves better, but they're satisfied whatever
they
every
get.
few move away, and life is good around here.
It is
I mean,
good.
it's reasonable. Our taxes are relatively low, except for a few,
Except for the couple spots you mentioned.
Yeah, but and it's not to bang away at them, but that's what they're up against. That's what they need to tackle. That's the brutal truth. You have to take care of those finances. But I don't want to get back into that.
I've always felt as though this is a great place to raise children.
Absolutely.
It's very Norman Rockwell if you really take a step and
Mayberry.
look, exactly. Yeah. You've got festivals and, truck events, food truck events, and there's always something that you can do.
More to come.
Well, and more importantly, if you're someone who follows through on things, there are things you can create and actually bring through to fruition, because I've done it. So it's amazing. This is a place where anything can be accomplished.
But it's not just me saying that. I hear it at the barbershop. I hear it at the restaurants. I hear it at the coffee shop. You hear wherever, bumping into people at the grocery store. And we have this kind. I had 100 times a week.
I bet. Yeah.
And it's just sad to see that nobody wants to. Employers, and there's 17,000 people without jobs in the 3 counties, Madison, Oneida, Herkimer County, and they all get these notices. And when 60 people show up for a job fair and they all get the notice, that's sad. I mean, it really is. I mean, but you talk to a lot of the employers, the Tractor Supplies, they're not having a problem. They're getting $21 an hour. Amazon's coming in. They're advertising the Feldmeyers, the Hummels. I mean,
they're always hiring.
They're all hiring.
They're hiring now. So
are they?
And it depends what business, but the smaller businesses we're seeing, and the governments are finding it tough to find employees. Some of the bigger companies, like I said, aren't having that problem, and they're paying, a little more. And we know to get back to your question, we know we're at a deficit, and we're considering making some changes. I know our majority leader, our Ways and Means chairman, Pat Russell's well aware of that. County administrator, myself, and the rest of the legislature knows that,
but so many of those jobs are so important. So to attract and retain good employees is just essential. Yeah, well, they all are important.
And we've reduced our ranks.
I'm thinking like a caseworker, for example, for a child. They need to go into the home and remove the child from a dangerous situation. Who knows if they're going to, be face to face with, some kind of combat while they do it. And, they're really putting a lot on the line. So they
absolutely. I hear the
Yeah.
stories, and they're saints. Those people
I
really
can't
are
imagine
saints. The
doing that.
nurses, the caseworkers, the probation officers, the deputies, even the highway personnel. They go above and beyond. I would get a lot of accolades about the way we're run in our county compared to other counties. Getting back to your, I mean, this is a great place to live and bring up a family. 4 Seasons, that center of the state, you can go anywhere and be anywhere in a few short hours, and but a lot of good things happening with those jobs coming in, and it seems that those employers aren't concerned about it, but yet, our employment rates went down, and I think it's below 4% now, or close to 4%, and it was up 6-7% not too long ago.
Right.
So things seem to be. It'll come around. It will. It goes full circle, but there's just a different. You talk to other people from other political figures from the state or county leaders, and they're all experiencing the same Same
They
problem.
are. Well, I will say that the chamber has gone as far. We recognize it too because we're hearing it from our members. So we've created on our website, if you visit our website, there is an actual job board that if you're a chamber member, you can post your jobs. It's something additional. And, we're certainly not going to claim to be Karen Pizik at her level of skill, but it's another resource for folks to go on for free and post
Absolutely.
their jobs. So, well, that said, I'm going to have to break for just a moment and we will be right back with more from Jim Bono.
Need to find that gift for someone special? Visit Little Falls Presents at the Stone Mill and Canal Place. Stop by today to find unique artist work, t-shirts, coffee cups, gift towels, greeting cards, tote bags, koozies, and original oil paintings and prints. It's all about the art of the gift. For more information, visit mylittlefalls.com/shop or call 315-508-5310 for details.
I have to tell you, it takes some getting used to knowing that there's a camera here because it's not the Michele Hummel show. We'll say that. We'll just put it that way. But when I try to watch it, I get freaked out. If I'm looking at the camera, I'm looking right in my own face, and it's uneasy. So anyway,
Don't look there then. I mean, kind of glance off to the side.
So again, Michele Hummel with the Herkimer County Chamber here with Dave Warner and Jim Bono from the Herkimer County Legislature. He's the legislative chair. So we want to kind of pick up where we left off. We're kind of going around on a few different subjects, but I'd like to talk about housing. So we receive a lot of questions. The chamber gets phone calls about everything. If they want to know your phone number, they'll call the chamber and say, "Do you know Jim Bono's phone number?"
Sure.
So we do our best, but we do get a lot of questions about housing, and I've also received questions from some realtor friends. So they know that people are moving in and they're coming from outside the area. They want to know where they can go to live. That sometimes it takes a little while to decide where they want to raise their family, which town, which village.
Right.
So anything on the horizon in terms of
we're working.
soon?
Yeah, we're working with a developer on a piece of property we own to develop mid-range housing, workforce housing. Desperate need. I know there's a need up in Old Forge also.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked to the town up there about creating an area up there. Matter of fact, it's going to involve a county road that we might have to rearrange. But so there's talk up there. Up there it's a seasonal, depending on what, whether it's snowmobile season or the summer season. People go there to work, but there's no affordable housing up there. And the same thing down here. When the Tractor Supplies come in or the other companies that we have, these families are looking for good housing. Newer housing sometimes, mainly, and good school districts, the whole 9 yards they're looking at. So there is desperate need to talk to a lot of realtors. The market is crazy right now. Somebody puts a house on the market and it could be a nothing to look at type of and it's gone in a couple of days because people are buying it, and especially with the rates going up. Interest rate went up 0.5%.
Right.
That's
you need to buy now.
Yeah, you need to buy now, and so definitely a seller's market, if you want to put it that way. So if you could turn around and sell tomorrow, but the stock is not there. So we're cognizant that this developer would put in about 50 or 60 units, but you need infrastructure. And here we go back to those
Water,
municipalities, that offer that infrastructure. You need water. You need not so much sewer, but the water and the electric and the gas are the main projects that you need. I know in Schuyler, they're talking about a 30-house development. So to get those mains in, desperately need, and you have to talk to zoning boards, and there's a whole process. You have, when we put in a business park, we have 3 or 4 business parks, you have to go through that process with the local zoning board, local planning board, local town board, local village board, whoever. And that process could be lengthy depending on which village or town some are very easy to get along with and get it. Others, it takes an army to get the process through. But for the most part, we've done well. We've got great relationships. John goes out, and John Pisa goes out and and has talked to every municipality, gone to every village, town, and the city, and gone to their meetings. And hey, this is what we have to offer. Let's do this as a partnership. We've got great partnerships right now, and so it's getting done. With the housing, it's just a little slower. Trying to get a developer to come into Herkimer County and say, "Hey, listen, this is what we." And you know what? They've taken notice. They've actually
Good.
called us, and when I know a few of them just being in my business, and they definitely want to move into the county. I know, and there's a good vibe. I know in Little Falls, there's a renaissance going on here, and you got more festivals than anyone, I think.
It's the city of festivals.
It is, and that's great, and that's the quality of life, and that's what people look at. And when I remember when Tractor Supply came in, they came in we rented a bus, and we went through the whole valley, and we came to Little Falls, and a lot of them were impressed with Little Falls and the canopy and the facade.
It's
and
beautiful.
And it really is. They've done a nice job, and the administration and the community has done a great job here, and it's a model, and that could happen anywhere in our community. And again, 60,000 people, folks, and we need that connectivity. And it's not just, hey, it's going on in Little Falls. It's happening, and that's the model. That's the model we took with our development plan that you may want to get into. But it's happening in Herkimer County, and we want people from Little Falls to say, hey, it's not just happening here. Let's, Herkimer has the Truck Fest, or what do they call it? It's like a
Food truck.
food truck event.
The
Every
downtown
let's go
showdown.
down, right.
What, you want us to share?
Ilian
Come
has
on
one
now.
too.
Yeah. And Dowdville has the
Violet
Violet
Festival.
Festival and the Doodah Parade and the corn eating contest in Sky, wherever. And Webb has the Snow Fest, whatever. We want that connectivity, and we don't want lines. We don't want here's the village line. We want you to share the community.
Sure.
And I travel about the two-county area, not just our county, and I feel like, Utica's home just as much as Little Falls. I come down here a lot.
Mhm.
I go to Webb a lot. I go to, wherever I need to go. But people need to start thinking out of the box, and let's travel a little bit.
One thing I've noticed, because I lived in Texas 37 years, you come up here, if you're an outsider, you see that siloing effect. It's extreme. I mean, the distance we're talking about, going to
I hear it every
Dowdville
day.
is 6 miles, Herkimer 6 miles from Little Falls. That's literally nothing if you come from Texas.
Mhm.
That doesn't even count 6 miles. Your odometer doesn't even run off if you go
Right.
6
Absolutely.
miles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's easy travel too. So you need to refocus, and and I'll bring it up. I mean, the county put up a Herkimer County Community Development strategic plan. We with the help of Community Foundation, Oneida Herkimer Community Foundation funded this. The county and a lot of the municipalities funded it. The IDA helped out too, and we put together the strategic plan. And they went out in the community. We hired Fairweather Consulting, and they went out in the community covertly and not so covertly, and just asked people, what do you want to see in Herkimer County? What's good about it, and what's bad about it? Not just we want to know what's bad. What do you want changed? And we wanted the shared vision and spread that. And we put together a plan, and the county is willing to implement that plan. I think we want to hire the legislature is willing to hire and we haven't come up with a title yet, but we want a person to be a spokesperson, and it's not to,
It's like a liaison.
it's
or
a
something
liaison,
to
and
keep
a
the
lot of counties
communication flowing.
have it, and just to be a face. I'm certainly the political face of the county, and I get phone calls to deal with the political end of it, but we want somebody to and not to take away your job. You have Michelle does a great job at the chamber, but this would be a mini chamber of sorts, along with the main issue would be to implement the plan and to get this shared vision. And then after that, just promote the county any way they can, whether it be a public entity, a private entity, a fraternal group, a church group, and put together a calendar of sorts. And we had talked, and Michelle and I had talked about implementing shared ideas and even working with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, our
And-
doors are open.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure.
Where can you find a copy of the plan?
We,
Is it online?
It's
or-
online. We do have it on our
Okay.
herkimercounty.org,
Okay.
Mhm.
and you can go there and look at it. And
I didn't know
So-
it was completed. So yeah.
it is
Okay.
completed. I have a copy of the draft here. I could probably leave with you,
Oh,
Dave.
no,
But
that's all
but
right.
you probably want the finished copy.
Yeah, I'll go online.
Go online, and anyone can, for that matter. And we went out, and they went out, and we had these focus groups. We had mini grants where people would, had
Mhm.
COVID going on.
I sat on some of those calls. I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This
they
right
were
here.
they were here. They
Yeah.
they came a couple
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
It's good. And, the chamber does, we do. I'll pat myself on the back. I don't mind. I love Herkimer County.
Yeah.
I promote it like
We
crazy.
can't reach
Yeah, I know.
Grand-
But, this position, the difference is there's no membership involved. It's everyone. And although we are a membership organization, we certainly do open our arms to some extent to our
Absolutely.
non-members. My feeling is, you can't get new members if you don't do business with people who are not
Right.
members currently. And it's worked well
Right.
for us in the past. And we support this position that you're going to be hiring. So we'll help in any way we can.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. So it's, we're a small community, and we
We are.
should, with a lot of big ideas, and they should be, but we want people in Little Falls to know what the people on the other end of the county are doing, and every part in between, and share your ideas.
And just keep the conversation open.
Absolutely.
Go to Ann Street Deli for breakfast. Even if you're from Ilion, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
I was at Crazy Autos for breakfast last Friday.
See?
I told you that. So
Yeah.
no, you got to get
You-
out and get around.
Mhm,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, people would drive to Syracuse to go shopping. You know what I mean? My wife.
Oh, we do that.
Go
Back to
to the
school
mall, you know?
shopping. My daughter and I get a hotel room and we go 2 days in a row. She's a
What?
teenage girl,
Yeah,
so
so
I
why
need
not
that
do
extra
it?
time.
Yeah. Why not do it in your own community? So
Yeah.
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 But
So-
lot of good things.
Absolutely. So we're hoping to see more retail in our area, but I know that that's also part of a long-term plan. One of the only other questions that I do have is I'm very passionate about the youth. So I have always embraced it. When I was in high school, I was part of FBLA. I don't know if it exists. That's the Future Business Leaders of America,
Oh,
where we went on mock interviews and did all kinds of things. And I loved it. I did.
I think it's still around.
Oh,
kind
is
of.
it? So I'm not
Well,
sure. My
I don't know
daughter
if the
hasn't
group
mentioned
is,
it,
but that kind of
yeah,
It
so
is.
something like
approaching
that.
it that
It
way
is,
is.
And
Yeah.
so the chamber always works closely, and we open up to any school system. CBA has taken advantage of it where they'll reach out to us and say, do you have a project, or can we create a project so that we can get some volunteer hours in? And we're good with that. So I'm wondering what the county is doing to try to keep the youth engaged.
Yeah. I talk to whoever the chairperson is, usually gets the job of doing that. But Cornell Cooperative Extension comes in every year and brings in students from the school districts. And that was a big program. We used to have 25 students come in, and you talk to them about county government, because to be honest with you, a lot of people, not just the students, a lot of adults don't know what county government does. They were clueless to, they know what their village or town government does because it's local. They know what the state and federal do because it gets press every night. But county, provide 120 services at the county, plus or minus any county. So there's a lot of services that people, you may not partake in those services, but they're available to you.
Mhm.
And
I
we
don't
have
think
to-
everyone knows what they are. I'm not going to ask you to run through 120.
I will.
But is there a place where on your website, is it something listed?
Yeah,
out
all our
where-
departments are listed there, department heads. Any pertinent information you need is on that website, as far as contact information, your legislators, districts, property tax maps, DMV, Office of the Aging, probation, Sheriff's Department, Veteran Services, and I'm missing the highway.
I
probably
know there's
missing a few.
health and
they're-
elderly
Those are the
and-
departments. Well,
Mhm.
within those departments, there's certain programs that are provided, and again, it's about 120 plus or minus services that are provided, all for, I think, on average $5.70 per thousand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you look at your tax rates,
Right.
and not to pat ourselves on the back, but if you look at your town and county tax when you get your your tax, you'll see what you pay in county tax. You're getting 120 services for that,
Mhm.
on average $800
I-
or $1,000.
I think
maybe
people need to be reminded of that.
versus what you pay in a town or county or a village tax. You say, geez, I probably get 10 or 15 services and you're paying the same amount. Again, getting back to, do you need that other government? And down, so I mean, Dave, you said you were from Texas, and
Yeah.
points south of us have county-run fire, police,
Yeah.
school districts, and it works. So why not here?
Right.
It'll take time, but and I encourage anybody who listens to this or call me up, and if you love me or hate me with the idea, but it needs to be revisited now more than ever. And we can do this. We really can. And it will take time. It's not going to happen overnight, but you have to start it somewhere. And we'll pick a date. Like I said, pick 10 years. By 2030, we will have a consolidated fire, a consolidated police department. But nobody would lose their job. There's ways of doing it. You just have to sit down and can't lose interest. Like
When the schools were merging, there was so much controversy over it. I have to tell you, those kids, they're thriving. They're doing well. There's no issue with Ilion and Mohawk joining forces. It's been a good experience.
Absolutely. They adjust better than we do. And
Right.
we make a big deal out of it. And they're like, I've got more friends and more
And
opportunities.
with social media now, they're all in contact with each other before any of us could even think about it.
Sure.
Right. So,
I mean, you do have, town of Webb is very different. That's the one thing. I mean, that's a long haul up there. So, some of the issues they have might be different than Ilion or Mohawk or whatever. So
definitely.
But the rest of us down here in the valley, we should be able to do something.
It's numbers up there. There I think there's only, say, 16 or 1800.
I think it's 18 was my list.
1800 year round.
Was that? I was thinking.
And then it blossoms to what?
Yeah.
30,000. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's
a great place.
But it's, all the people from outside come in and it's great for them. And it's a different dynamic up there, but.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I will say we do love you here. So you asked for love me or hate you, but
Well,
we do love you
That's the
here.
nature of the business.
And we will keep this dialogue open. And I hope that our listeners will also talk about it with their friends, their families, and let's see some positive momentum in Herkimer County. Thanks so much for being with us.
You're
Up
welcome.
next time on Hello Herkimer County, we have Brad Waters from Sentinel Media who will be joining us. We look forward to seeing you then.